The global influencer market is worth $13 billion and this is expected to grow to $16 billion by the end of this year. In India alone, the creator market is worth $120 million. Do you know social media influencers are preferred over celebrities when it comes to brand endorsements? This is because these influencers often have more followers than some of the celebrities. Also, it's going to be cheaper for these organizations to reach out to influencers than celebrities. These influencers in return get freebies, like they get to keep the products that they endorse, or free flight tickets, or sometimes even free holiday packages. So it's a win-win for both. Hello and welcome. Wondering why am I talking about economics and social media influencer industry? The focus here is on the freebies that these influencers get. These freebies or benefits or perks, whatever you may want to call it as, these are gifts as per the Income Tax Act. And gifts more than 50,000 in a year are taxable. But not many paid this tax because there was no way to track these transactions. So many took advantage of this loophole and this led to evasion of tax. The government has now understood this, so to fix this up, it has made some changes. These changes would be effective from 1st July 2022 and this is about introduction of the concept of TDS on these freebies. This is applicable to all resident influencers, not just influencers. This change has impacted even doctors receiving freebies from pharma companies. So in this video, let's understand what is this change, how does it help Income Tax Department track these transactions, what is its impact on social media influencers, and if you are an influencer on popular platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, etc., then from now on, what can you do when you get these freebies? This change is effective from 1st July 2022 and organizations giving freebies to influencers are required to pay this tax, that is TDS. Rate of TDS would be 10%. These organizations deposit this tax to the government. This tax is then credited to the PAN of the influencer. Once these things happen, the transaction automatically appears in the Annual Information Statement, AIS in short, of the influencer. AIS is a tax credit statement. If you would like to know more about AIS, you may consider watching my earlier video, the link in the top right corner. Now, having said that, this TDS would not be applicable in two different situations. Let's understand what are those. First, when the value of the freebies that influencers get is less than or equal to 20,000 for a year. Second, in case of individuals and HUFs, when their business turnover is less than or equal to 100 lakh in the last financial year, and this limit would be 50 lakh in case of profession. So under these two situations, this TDS would not be applicable. Let's consider a simple example to understand this change. Let's say you are a social media influencer on YouTube, Instagram, or whatever, and let's assume a makeup product manufacturer reaches out to you to review one of their lipsticks. Let's assume the price of this lipstick to be 5,000. No TDS because this is within the threshold limit of 20,000. Let's consider another scenario. Let's say Samsung reaches out to you to review one of their phones, say Galaxy S22. Let's assume the price of this phone to be 120K. Now, Samsung is required to deduct 10% tax on this 120K, that is 12,000. This 12,000 is then credited to the PAN of the influencer. This tax credit can be viewed from AIS of the influencer, that is Annual Information Statement of the influencer. Let's understand what information does this AIS contain. First, it would contain the price of the phone that you have received, that is 120K. Also, the TDS credit, that is the tax that is paid by Samsung, which is 12K here, that would appear as TDS credit. This TDS credit, that is 12,000, this can either be refunded by the income tax department, or you may adjust this against any other liability that you may have. So before this change, you used to get a phone worth 120k, and now after this change, in addition to the phone, you are also getting a tax credit of 12,000, that is 10% of the cost of the phone. So 132k. Does it mean that now after this change you get 10% more than what you used to get earlier? Not exactly. Let's understand why I am saying so. After this change, these organizations giving freebies are now made responsible to pay this tax, that is TDS. So it will be very easy for income tax department to keep track of these transactions. Now that this information is already available with the income tax department, you will have to pay income tax on this income. In our example, it is 120k. If you are in 30% tax bracket, then you will have to pay 20% tax because TDS is only 10%. And if you are in 20% tax bracket, then you have to pay 10% and so on. So effectively, this change has led to increase in your tax liability. Then I said about refund. Let's now see who can get refund of this TDS. If you are in tax bracket less than 10%, say 5% or 7.5%, and if you have no other taxable income, or when your income is less than the basic exemption limit of 2.5 lakh, which is going to be unlikely, if you are in any of these two situations, then you will be able to get refund of the TDS that is paid. This refund is not for many. This change is effective from 1st July 2022. But the financial year starts from April and ends in March. Have you received freebies from April till June, that is before this change was applicable? If yes, two questions arise. First, is TDS applicable on such transactions, that is the transactions which have already happened? Second, are these transactions going to be added while computing this 20k threshold limit? Let me answer one after the other. First, is TDS applicable? No, TDS is not applicable on transactions that have already happened. So it's a big relief. Second, are these transactions considered to compute 20k limit? Yes, it would be considered because this threshold limit of 20k is for the entire year. To understand this better, let's consider the same Samsung example. Let's say you got a phone from Samsung for review and this phone was received by you on 15th May 2022. Let's assume the price of this phone to be 12,000. No TDS because this is before 1st July 2022. Now, let's say on 15th August 2022, you got another phone from Samsung and the price this time is 15,000. Let's now summarize. First, on 15th May, you received phone worth 12k and on 15th August, you received another phone worth 15k. So total is 27,000 here. Samsung is required to pay 10% of this 27,000, that is 2,700, because this is more than the threshold limit of 20k. This 2,700 would appear as TDS credit in your AIS. If you return the product after review or for whatever purpose you have got the product, then no TDS. But if you don't return, then you will have to pay tax on it. Sometimes it's possible that you get certain product for review and you find that these products are of not much utility to you. So you may negotiate with these organizations to have better terms. Say for example, having monetary compensation or exchanging this for something that is useful to you. But in any case, you will be required to pay tax on it. But you would be convinced to pay tax on something useful to you rather than paying tax on something that is not useful. Check your annual information statement for tax credit and if required, pay the necessary tax. This threshold limit of 20,000, it is per person. Let's say you have got two phones from two different organizations and each worth 15,000. No TDS because this is within the threshold limit of 20,000. This is all for today. Thank you for watching.